All right, let's talk about something that can get really complicated really fast, the law. Specifically, we're going to dive deep into Arizona's manslaughter law, ARS 13-1103, and break down what it actually means when you hear that term.
This is the question, isn't it? It's probably the most important one. And the short answer is yes, absolutely. But understanding why that is, well, that's the key to seeing how the law separates a terrible accident from a criminal act.
So, if you look at the books, this is the official definition. It's causing someone's death by being reckless, getting caught in the heat of passion, or helping with a suicide. The big takeaway here is that an intent to kill isn't always part of the equation. That's a huge deal, and it's why the law gets even more specific.
And that brings us to the real heart of the matter. See, the law isn't just one size fits all. It actually breaks manslaughter down into 5 very distinct situations.
Yep, 5. Each one has its own set of circumstances, its own state of mind attached to it. So let's start with the one that comes up the most.
First up is reckless manslaughter. Now, this is by far the most common version you'll see charged, and it's all about consciously ignoring a major risk.
The word recklessness here has a very specific legal meaning. This isn't just being a little careless. We're talking about someone who knows there's a huge and unjustifiable risk, and they decide to just do it anyway. The classic example is a fatal DUI. The person knows that drinking and driving is dangerous, but they consciously make the choice to get behind the wheel. That disregard for the risk, that's what makes it a crime.
Okay, number 2. This one is all about the person's emotional state at the exact moment something happens. It's what the law calls heat of passion.
This is the one you see in movies all the time, right? The crime committed in a fit of rage. But in the real world, the legal bar for this is incredibly high. You have to have been adequately provoked, and that provocation has to be something so intense that a reasonable person might lose self-control. And just so we're clear, courts have generally said that just arguing or trading insults, that's not going to cut it.
Our third category is extremely specific, and it's a very serious one: aiding a suicide.
The law is crystal clear on this. The crime isn't just about providing something, it's about the knowledge behind it. To be guilty, a person has to intentionally give someone else the physical means to commit suicide, all while knowing that's exactly what the other person is planning to do. If you had no idea if it was unintentional, it doesn't meet the definition for this crime.
Number 4 is a scenario you don't see very often, but it's critically important. This is when someone commits the act because they were being forced to.
Right, so this is about being under duress. Imagine someone is holding a gun to your head and forcing you to do something that results in someone else's death. The law recognizes that kind of extreme pressure. But again, the standard is high. The threat has to be immediate, deadly, and so overwhelming that a reasonable person in that same exact situation would feel they had no other choice.
And finally, we come to the 5th category, which deals specifically with the death of an unborn child. This part of the law comes into play when someone's knowing or reckless actions, like, say, a physical assault on a pregnant woman, leads to the death of the unborn child. But it's also very important to note that the law lays out very specific exceptions. This does not apply to authorized medical procedures or to the actions of the mother herself.
So we've walked through the 5 different types of manslaughter. Now let's talk about the consequences. And as you can probably guess, the penalties are extremely serious, and they really depend on the specific details of the case.
One of the absolute biggest factors in sentencing comes down to this difference right here. The law distinguishes between a deadly weapon, think of something like a gun that's designed to be lethal, and a dangerous instrument. A dangerous instrument can be almost anything: a car, a bat, a heavy object. It all depends on how it's used in the moment. And this isn't just wordplay. This distinction changes everything.
And this is why it matters so much. If the offense is classified as non-dangerous, the prison sentence is between 3 and 12.5 years, and probation is a possibility. But if that offense gets labeled as dangerous, maybe because a car or some other instrument was involved, look at the difference. The prison time skyrockets to between 7 and 21 years. And probation? It's completely off the table. No chance. Okay, before we wrap this all up, I want to quickly hit on one point of confusion that comes up all the time.
They both involve a death that wasn't intended, so what really separates them? It might seem like a fine line, but in the legal world, it's a canyon.
It all comes down to one word: awareness. With reckless manslaughter, the person is aware of a huge risk and decides to ignore it. Think of it as seeing a stop sign and choosing to blow right through it. With negligent homicide, the person fails to see a risk that they really should have seen. That's like not even noticing the stop sign was there in the first place. That mental state is everything, and it's why negligent homicide is considered a lesser offense.
Okay, I know that was a lot to take in. So let's boil this whole thing down to the 3 biggest takeaways you need to remember.
So here it is. Number 1, manslaughter is not one single thing. It's a catch-all for 5 different acts. Number 2, and this is crucial, you don't have to intend to kill anyone. Simply being aware of a massive risk and ignoring it can be enough. And finally, number 3, that little word, dangerous, is a complete game changer when it comes to penalties.
And that kind of leaves us with this final thought, doesn't it? The entire legal system is trying to draw a very fine line between a tragic accident and a crime, and so much of it hangs on what was going on in a person's head. What they knew, what they should have known. It really makes you think, just how much does our own awareness define our responsibility?